Fucking the gigs with a knife.
And that's when I said, if I have to go through all this hell, then I'm going to move away from here since LA's no good for me. It's a driving city. You got to go to auditions.
Yeah.
And if I can't have a life in show business, I'm going to go find out how to get my life, and that's how the pursuit of getting the DNA started.
And where'd you end up?
I ended up in New York City. I went to New York for a year, and did the clubs and worked around there and met up with all the New York and Washington guys from child services. I mean, from my family rights groups, and I started being around those men and being around those families.
Alec Baldwin?
Exactly. I met all these cats that had been through the system, and we've spoke together in public and shared these family rights meetings. And I've learned a lot from the pain of families that go through what I go through, because I'm kind of by myself. It's me and my girlfriend. But then I realized, wait a minute, my family's affected. I moved to Texas 2 years ago, and my brother and his wife moved from Michigan to live in an apartment near me so that my brother can drive me around and make sure I have a life.
That's a real brother.
That's family.
Yeah.
That's a real brother.
Now, okay, so you're in town now. What's happening now with this?
Well, now I'm doing I'm going to the courthouse to file new papers. It took me 6 years to get the DNA from the whole family.
How'd you do that?
Well, first of all, I met my Angelica.
Yeah.
She came into my life 3 years ago, introduced herself to me, and we became close.
This is
the girl.
Your daughter?
Yeah.
His daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah.
It's an odd spot.
But this is after not really having contact with her.
I haven't seen her since she was almost 4.
Now, was part of that because you didn't want to see her?
Well, I made the decision for the mother to raise herself and to go after the Kinison estate and to leave me out, since I wasn't the father.
For Christy to go.
Yes.
To take it.
And since the little girl didn't know me, it was always a frightful thing when I showed up because she didn't even know me.
But you were still the only one given child support for how many years?
Well, for those 3 years.
Okay.
And then later on, I was forced to pay after I gave up on my court case because I had no money. So she had a very wealthy father that just pursued it. It took 7 years to split it up. And I just gave up one day. So I had that court case put on me to pay for her. And then a year later found out that all these lies had been a part of my life. And I just quit paying. And I started my binge toward my suicide attempt in 2000.
You tried to kill yourself for real?
Yeah, I tried to hang myself.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from all these lies, all these stories, and I wasn't having a life. They took my driver's license and my passport away in '97
because you couldn't pay child support.
Right, and that Sam was my friend, and that's his daughter, and she's not recognized. She doesn't get any financial help, and it's not just on me. Sam should be taking care of his daughter. If Sam's spinning right now in his grave, so. I'm going to tell this whole story this week. I'm filing new papers. I've got DNA from everybody.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story. That's another show altogether on the DNA chase. But I got them all. I got Richard Kinison's DNA 6 weeks before he died. He found out that Sam had a daughter and didn't even know it. Bill never told him.
So the only one you weren't able to get was Bill, I imagine.
And Bill was a holdout. So when I went to Richard's funeral, Bill showed up. And after I spoke about his brother, came up to me and said, "I'm sorry for all these years. I want Angelica in our life. That's Sam's daughter. That's my niece, and I want to take care of her, and I promise I will. And what does she want?" And I said, "I'll forgive you only if you give me DNA to give that girl proof that she's Sam's daughter." And he said, "I'll do it." And he did it.
Oh, man.
And that's how I got it. So I'm going to go in and explain to the courts what happened, how there was a fraud from the very beginning, that the state was fraudulently possessed and gotten, and how all this worked out. And let the court decide, and let the public decide. Jesus. How a guy like me, or millions of guys like me, paternity, they find out we're not the fathers of our children, and the courts really don't help out that much. And you only get a year or two to find out, or else the DNA is no good. That's what I was told back then. It's like, you only had a year or two to find out.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at 6 years later, 8 years later. So,
but it's conclusive.
Yeah. The stuff I have is absolutely conclusive. I am 0% the father, and then I've got the 2 Kinison brothers, the ex-wife and the daughter, and it's all compared. And she is a Kinison. Now, legally, I don't think I can say it's Sam, so it's either Richard's, Bill's, or Sam's. But Sam was the only one that had a key to my house. Yeah. Oh, so everybody gets their cross to carry, and this is mine.
Now, and how's the girl?
She's 21. She's really bright. She's now the spitting image of Sam, which cracks her up and me. But she was raised in New Jersey, and she's known this since she was 12. Her mom told her when she was 12.
Uh-huh.
And she's got a lot of sides of Sam, which is that aggressive going for it thing. She wasn't afraid to meet me, but she's very friendly, and she's got that little face, and her little hands come up like this when she talks to you, and you fall in love with her. You know,
and you got a relationship with her.
Yeah, I have a relationship.
And
with
Christy?
I told her dad's gone, but I'm here.
Oh, that's nice.
So I answer all of her questions for her.
About him?
Yeah, she wants to know everything about him. She didn't know her father.
And what about with Christy?
Christy, I've talked to once, and she's moody because but mental illness is pretty tough.
And this suicide attempt, Carl. I mean, it just seems so unlike you. You must have gotten pretty fucking far down. You had nothing, huh?
I had nothing. No.
And
I didn't have a child. I didn't have a friend. I didn't trust anybody. My bank account was being robbed every couple of months. They just go and
nothing
take
you could do about it.
No,
and you couldn't afford to do anything about it.
No, exactly. So I couldn't afford to fight it.
Oh,
I'm like the regular guy. I make enough money to pay my bills, but I don't have the money to buy an extra car or take a vacation. But I'm that working comic. So that's what really affected my life, is that they kept taking from me. So I had to call those shit gigs we don't want to do, and will you have me next weekend? Yeah. And you go in there and work for it just to pay your bills and get by. And it took its stress on me and Sarah, the girl I've been with for 14 years when I left her 4 years ago.
So you're in a room with a rope?
Yeah. I'm in a room with actually 2 belts. I put them together in Vegas.
Were you high?
Oh, I had to get high to do it. I mean, I'm drunk, not high. I got drunk to do it. But I was downstairs, and that night somebody came up and gave me another Sam story. And then you guys did this. I'll never forget it. And wasn't he a great guy? I mean, just tell me another story about Sam, And I went, I'll be right back. No. And I took that walk down. I was at the MGM Grand. And I took that long walk down the hall. I got on the elevator with a family and a kid. And they were going up the elevator, and I just watched them love all over this little girl, and I just started crying. And my family was stolen from me, all my dreams were stolen from me, and I went to the room and I hooked the whole thing up, and I just tied it, and I said, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to jump off the edge of this bed and just let it break my neck. And I jumped off, and bam, my knees hit first, and I kind of slid into the belt, and I went, oh God, this hurts. You know what I mean? It was this horrible, and I couldn't undo it, but I wasn't choking. I was just breaking my talking box, and I finally got it unhooked, and then I just laid there and just saw it all. It all became so clear. I go, oh my God, they almost won. Bill almost won. If I would have died, Bill would have had everything, and this girl never would have got her acknowledged, and that's when I made the promise I was going to change. And I totally changed that day. I went into AA to get the start of my cleanliness, and I started making my amends to people, and I just slowly got back into who Carl was and where he was from, and I brought that back into my life. And I left here 4 years ago, went out to New York with just a bag, and found friends to stay with, started a career, spoke out in Washington, found these family rights people, and I did Lincoln Memorial and hosted. I met judges and lawyers, and I met hundreds of guys, thousands of guys like me that found out they weren't the fathers of their children, and got into that cause.
You became an activist.
Became an activist.
Well, fuck, I'm glad you didn't die. It's great to see you. And the one thing I know that you didn't say when you went to fall off the bed with belts on your neck, that there was no slow motion.
No, not a no check.
Thank God.
Yeah, right. It's only when you see it coming.
Well, I thought you might because you made the decision.
Yeah, right. No, eyes are shut when you jump from a bed, by the way.
Well, fuck, Carl. Thanks for talking to me, and thanks for being honest. And I hope this all works out in your favor. And
it's already worked out. My life has worked out.
You're sober too?
Oh yeah, my life has worked out. So this is the other stuff. This will be the firestorm that I'm going to start. There are other people have to stand up for their lives that they created.
Okay.
Someone's going to have to acknowledge, and I know Sam's on the other side of this, pushing for the goodness of it too. That's his daughter. So I'm fighting for her. I'm fighting for him and his memory. And I've forgiven everybody. I'm just mad at the law.
Okay.
And I'm mad at Bill. So I just want to work this thing out.
Thanks for being here,
You got
man.
welcome. Nice
Good
to
to
see
see
you,
you.
too.